What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sports Talk with Brodes. And the Birds did it. I mean, this was a phenomenal week of football. Going down to the Vikings' last play, to the start of the week with the Birds beating the Falcons. Now, as you see on the YouTube channel episode here, I have on the Eagles scarf. I will be sleeping in this. I will be wearing it every single day until the ride is over. It is the lucky charm of the Birds. So you will see me wearing this every day. Let's kick it off with this Birds game. I mean, was that not remarkable way to play by our defense? Our defense held the Atlanta Falcons to 10 points. Not only that, the game was on the line. 4th and goal on the 2-yard line. And Jalen Mills stops Julio Jones. It happened. It actually happened. Nick Foles looked great the second half. And in the beginning of the game, we had to deal with a terrible-looking thrown ball by Nick Foles. You had to deal with an Ajayi fumble. Then LeGarrette Blount loses it at one point. And then Ajayi at the goal line again. So, I mean, you had struggles early on, and to talk about the Falcons' field positioning, they scored off short field advantages, like fumbling the football. Then they get some pass interference calls, and that's the drive they end up scoring their touchdown on. They really didn't have to go anywhere downfield. Our defense stepped up and played great, and that's what gives me hope. That is what gives me hope. Let's look at some statistics here. Nick Foles throws for 246 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. 23 for 30. Ajayi with 15 carries. 54 yards. Alshon Jeffrey, 4 receptions for 61 yards. LeGarrette Blount had the touchdown, which was on 4th down, to give us the lead at 6-3 early on. And we end up missing the extra point, which I thought was really going to come down to hurt us, knowing our luck. But what really matters after all this is we won the football game, and Nick Foles looked good, and our defense looked great. And that's exactly what we needed, and we need to keep moving forward. To think all we have to do is win a football game, and we are in the Super Bowl, is crazy to me. And we host the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I would love to talk about that Minnesota game before I break down the Eagles and Minnesota. That was probably the most ridiculous football game I've ever seen in the NFL playoffs. Ever. Ever. The Saints charged back from being down 17-0. Down 17-0. In the third quarter, they come back and charge down with a touchdown to make the score 17-7. The fourth quarter is when it all happened. The Saints score another touchdown. Michael Thomas, 3-yard pass. 17-14. Minnesota has the lead. Minnesota gets a field goal to make it 20-14. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Drew Brees throws a touchdown to take the lead 21-10. Minnesota responds to take the lead a minute and a half later on a field goal. 23-21 Vikings with 25 seconds left. So in 1 minute and 4 seconds, the Saints drive downfield to take the lead. 25 seconds left. They had to go down the field, Minnesota did. And that's when Case Keenum hits Diggs for a 61-yard touchdown pass to shock the world. It's the first time in an NFL playoff game that there has ever been a walk-off W. I feel bad for Marcus Williams. The safety on that play. He played great that game. He had an interception. He had a great year. He's 21 years old. But it's been broken down, and everyone has seen it, that on that play, I don't know what it looked like he was doing. Diggs went up in the air. He just lowers his head and lowers his shoulder and completely doesn't even touch him and miss him. So Diggs catches himself on the ground, one hand on the ground, and runs in the end zone because he was the safety. He was the last man back. At 21 years old, he has to live with letting the Saints down. And he owned up to it. After the game, he was getting interviewed. He said, it's my fault. 100%. 100% my fault, and owned up to it. At that age, on that kind of stage, to make that mistake after having a very, very good year and making big plays in that game. He knew he lost it for him, and it's a shame because you hate to see it won like that. You hate to see it based off somebody making a mistake rather than him defending so well, but Diggs just making a crazy play. It's like there's nothing you can really do there. So, with that being said, let's welcome Minnesota to Philadelphia next Sunday night at 6:40 at the Link. Now, it's going to be easy to say it's going to be a defensive battle. Am I more afraid of Case Keenum or Drew Brees? I'm definitely more afraid of Drew Brees, but I'm not afraid that I think our defense would have been able to stop Drew Brees in that offense. I wasn't scared because I trust our defense so much. And on the other side, the Saints defense, I think we could move the ball a little bit easier on the Saints defense. Now flip it to Minnesota because that's who we got. I think we're going to struggle moving the football a little bit. We're going to have to keep pounding the rock. It's going to be tough to move the football. But at the same time, I don't think I'm afraid of this offense as much as the Saints, which I still thought we would be able to handle. So it's going to be even easier to handle than Drew Brees, but still, I mean, they know what they're doing. And Case Keenum has had a phenomenal year. But they just won a miracle. They really did. Are they going to ride the momentum? We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a great game. It's literally a flip of the coin. I'm not confident enough to say we are going to absolutely, totally smack them. Because I respect the hell out of them, and I think they're a great football team, just like we are. I think we're a great football team, especially our defense. And all the players got interviewed in Minnesota after the game. How do you feel about going to Philadelphia? How do you feel about going to Philadelphia? We know their defense is great. We know it's going to be hard to play against their defense because we played them last year. And it was a tough, tough game. And that's what these players are saying in the locker room. They know. They know it's going to be a battle. And it is. It is. It's going to be a great game. And I think either team can truly come out and win this football game. I think we have a chance. I definitely do. Because our defense. Think about the teams remaining. Well, first off, let's go through the rest of the games before we do that. The Patriots absolutely smoked the Titans, 35-14. They even still fired their head coach, the Titans did, after this game, after winning a playoff game against the Chiefs being down 21-3. Still gets fired. It's a tough business, this game is. The Patriots win 35-14, and it wasn't even close. But the other games, the Jaguars put up 45 points against the Steelers and take it in Heinz Field. Their defense, I know they let up 42 points, and statistic-wise, Ben Roethlisberger, 469 yards, 5 TDs, interception. One interception. It didn't play out that way. In reality, Jacksonville's defense played great. Their offense played great. Leonard Fournette ran for 109 yards, 3 touchdowns. What a great season he's had. Blake Bortles, 214 yards. He found a way running a little bit as well, running for 35 yards. I mean, what can you say? Jacksonville did it. And now they're going to have to go into Foxborough. And I think they have the confidence. They definitely are not lacking the confidence, especially on the D side of the ball, to be able to make some noise. And that's why the games are played. Look at that Vikings game. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. At one point, the Jags were up 21-0. 21-0 in the second quarter. And it definitely was not as close as the score ended at 45-42. Because the last possession for the Steelers, they were down 10. And the Jags just kind of let them run out the clock by rushing down the field. So this is what we have for the final 4 quarterbacks. And I'm sure the NFL is not happy about this at all. I guarantee it. Nick Foles, Case Keenum, Blake Bortles, and Tom Brady. I saw a stat saying 5 career starts for everybody except for Brady. 5 Super Bowls for Brady. And that's a wild stat. Can you imagine? I'm just saying. Could you imagine a Nick Foles, Blake Bortles Super Bowl? There's no way the league is going to be happy with that. There's no way. Because when you think about this and the money, there's no way. But overall, just looking at these next 2 games, next Sunday, between the Vikings and Eagles and the Jags and Pats, it's going to be great football. It's absolutely going to be great football. And the fact that we won that first playoff game made this season a success for me. And love it or hate it, but it is the truth. With the situation that occurred with us, with Carson Wentz's injury, and I don't even think about the beginning of the year. I had us at 8-8, and I wasn't the only one. Nobody could have expected the season that just occurred for us. But people had them 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, whatever. Majority of the people more in that 8-8, 9-7 range. 13-3, a playoff win with Nick Foles after Carson Wentz's MVP season goes down. And that game on Saturday, was the game that said, you know what? This team, stepping stone, moving forward. We did everything that we possibly could have for this season. If we do go down in a dogfight. If we go down in a dogfight, I will sit there, clap my hands, and say, hell of a ride, fellas. Hell of a ride. And this is all because I respect Minnesota and everything they have, especially defensively, just like us. And offensively, I respect them. It's going to be a great football game. Absolutely. Do I think we can win? Yes. Do I think they can win? Yes. I just think it's going to be a dogfight, and either team can win it. It's just a matter on who gets the job done. Going back to that Jags-Pittsburgh game real quick, at one point in the fourth quarter, with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, the score was 42-35. So at this point, it was a 7-point game. And the Steelers end up going for an onside kick. They still had timeouts left. They could have kicked the football down all the way down the field. And they thought, Blake Bortles would be able to rush down the field 100 yards to score a touchdown on your defense? And I thought that was the play. That was a poor coaching play, which led to a field goal for Jacksonville, which put them up 10 with 1:45 left. And like I said, that's when the Steelers really had no chance to go down the field. But with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, it was a 7-point game. Now, the game didn't feel that way. I said this before, the game wasn't really as close as the score was. And the game didn't feel that close. But at the 2 minute and 18 second mark, that was a poor coaching decision that I firmly believe affected the possibility of the Steelers being able to pursue this comeback. 2:18 with your timeouts left, down 7 points. 2:18 with your timeouts. You're going for an onside kick, a poorly executed onside kick, which pretty much handed Jacksonville the final 3 points to put them up by 10 and make it a 2-possession game. Just stupid by Mike Tomlin. He's got some questions answering. Le'Veon Bell said, I want to be here. I want to be in Pittsburgh. But there are circumstances. Now, what does that mean? Does that have anything to do with the head coach? Does it have anything to do with who else is returning? Big Ben said he was going to return. We'll have to see what happens. And that wasn't the only stupid play calling of the day. Because in the New Orleans game, Sean Payton goes back-to-back challenges and lost 2 timeouts because there were no chance of either of those getting overturned. Now, the first one, I guess it was on a time limit because the offense of the Vikings were hurrying up and he wasn't getting anybody in his ear. He was like, screw it, I guess we'll just have to ride with it. I think the chance, because it was such a big play for the Vikings, it's worth the chance to challenge it. And if it's not, whatever, we lose 1 timeout. But the second one was a did he catch it kind of challenge. And there was no ball movement at all in the receiver's arms. It wasn't even close. If there was anybody in his ear on that one, I mean, come on. So they lost 2 timeouts late in the game of bad challenges. So it comes down to coaching, too, in the playoffs. And Dougie P has shown me a lot. Doug Peterson, he's got control of this locker room. He absolutely 100% does. Now let's move along to the basketball. Because the Sixers played the Celtics in London. And I'm ready to freak out with that basketball game. The Sixers were up 22 points. They fall 114 to 103. At one point in the fourth quarter, Ben Simmons was on the bench, Embiid was on the bench, and whoever was on the floor was garbage. Absolute garbage. And we're talking about a fourth quarter of a basketball game when we were up 22 points. I mean, it's just ridiculous. We got to find ways. I know Boston is a great team, number 1 in the East. I know that during this game when we're up 22, there's going to be a time when this Celtic squad goes on a run. It's just how basketball works. It's just how good basketball teams work. But there's going to be a time where you have to counter this. You can't just let it happen. You got to score the basketball. You got to put stops together. You got to put a couple points in the basket just to stop how strong of a run that they're going to make. But it just got ugly. It got hideous. It got unwatchable. I was actually streaming it live, and I'm doing this new thing on my YouTube channel where I want to do live reactions to sports games, so I found a way to stream them and being able to have my webcam in the stream. So you will see both my reaction and the play. It was a great idea, and I had a lot of clips. And then it started going downhill. And I was getting miserable and pissed off. And I'm like, you know what? That seems funny and all, but I don't even want to do it for this. I don't even want to. It pissed me off that much. Now look at the box score. Joel Embiid had 15 points and 10 rebounds. J.J. Redick had a good night. Hit 5 threes. 22 points, 7 rebounds. Ben Simmons, 16 points. Hit a couple mid-range looking jump shots. Not straight up just, how do you do? Jump shot. It was more how he attacks the basket and maybe fades away a little bit. But they were jump shot looking, which is huge. But he was 8 for 12 from the field. And then you have TJ McConnell coming off the bench for 26 minutes, giving us 12 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. But like I said, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and it was ugly. And it was frustrating. And I don't know what we're going to do. And then you got guys like Markelle Fultz right now. And there's clips of him online. And it looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Straight bricks from 3. After I just praised the highlight video he got. I don't know what we're going to do with this Sixers medical staff. I don't know what we're going to do with Markelle Fultz if he becomes an absolute huge bust. Which, I mean, he's 19. He's 19. And he's got time. But it's ugly right now. It's ugly. So, to this afternoon, actually, at 1 o'clock, we host the Raptors. A Monday 1 o'clock game on a little Martin Luther King action. So, they have our numbers. They absolutely have our numbers. They are seeking the 5th straight victory over the Sixers. DeMar DeRozan always finds his way to be able to go off on us and drop a lot of points. So we'll see how we end up playing this basketball game. We're at home, which should be huge. We're sitting at 19-20 right now. That is our record. 1.5 games back from Milwaukee, who's sitting in that 8th seed at 22-20. We got to find ways. We have to find ways to win. So we will see what happens. And keeping it in the NBA, let's go on this Cavaliers topic. LeBron is clearly frustrated, yelling at teammates and coaches on the bench. Defensively, they are struggling. You add Isaiah Thomas in, and they need to figure out how it's going to work. He's good offensively, although he has a night where he shoots like 0 for 15 from the field, and it was bad. Tonight, 8 o'clock, TNT, they play the Warriors, but they are at home in Cleveland. We will see how this goes, but they are on a tough stretch. They lost to the Pacers by 2 on Friday. They lost to the Raptors by 34. They lost to the Timberwolves by 28. So they're on a 3-game skid right now. There's never been a team that has won or that has lost 2 games in a row by 25 plus points to make it to the finals. I think this team has the chance to beat that stat because, I mean, they just go through high emotional roller coasters, but when it comes to playoffs, it's a little bit different for LeBron. And I get it. This team has never seen anything, absolutely anything like this before. And LeBron has struggled, but not to this extent. Absolutely not. But I just feel it's kind of like the Patriots. Do you guys remember September and October? This team had 2 losses already. It's not the same team. Here they are. They're favored to win the Super Bowl again. So I feel like to an extent it is kind of like that with LeBron. Once the playoffs comes around, it's a different animal. It's a different breed. It's a whole different ball game, and not every team has the ability to keep their emotions in check when it comes to the playoffs and ride through it. But LeBron has been there so much, just like Tom Brady. And you never know. You just never know what's going to happen when it comes to Brown in the playoffs. But they have a huge test. Now, this Warriors game is obviously big. Then they play the Magic. Then the Thunder, the Spurs. So they got some tough games coming up. I'm enjoying the run, though. I'd like to see LeBron handle adversity. I like everyone talking smack on LeBron, saying this is it. This is the end of the road. Look at the way his team's playing right now. There's no way he's going to be able to do this. And then he shuts up all the haters. And he's going to be able to do it. He's going to be able to figure it out. I know it's a little bit more tension than normal. I know it's a little bit more of a different scenario than normal. But I have faith in LeBron, the best basketball player I have ever seen play the game. College hoops. We got some good games tonight with Duke and Miami at 7 o'clock on ESPN, and then West Virginia, Kansas. And I praised West Virginia last episode, and of course they fall to Texas Tech on the road. But Texas Tech is a great team full of respected players who have been around, who have absolutely been around. Saturday was a good day for basketball. Michigan State falls again. They went from number 1 in the country, fell to Ohio State, to number 4 in the country, and then they fall to Michigan at home. A rival school, 82-72. Kansas escapes another home victory against Kansas State. They won by 1 point, 73-72. And Bill Self, I'm sure, had a little brown marks in his pants after that game. To lose 3 home games in one season, for him, that would have been detrimental. Oklahoma wins 102-97 in overtime against TCU, who's ranked 16. Trae Young had himself a night. 43 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Hit 10 3-pointers, 10 for 18 from behind the 3-point line. Truly remarkable. When he's on, he is on. But when he's struggling, you can tell. You can absolutely tell, and he plays with it, with his emotion, and you can tell with his body language and all that. But when he's on, 43 points, 11 boards, 7 assists, come on, in a victory at home. Like I said, Texas Tech beats West Virginia 72-71. And that was a great, great game. West Virginia can really play. I said this last episode, this Big 12 is no joke. And I stay true to that. Villanova keeps the number 1 spot with a win over St. John 78-71. It's getting there. We're coming down the back end of the halves here because what do we have? It's January, what is the date exactly? January 15th. So you got the rest of January, 2 weeks. That goes into February. And then, just like that, it's March. Best time of the year for sports. March Madness, NFL or NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. It really is the best part of the professional and NCAA sporting events, no doubt about it. And lastly here, going on the hockey train, the Fly Guys come back from their 1 week bye week in the NHL to play the Devils away, a really good Devils team. And they come up on top and win 5-3 to improve to 20, 15, and 8. Handling adversity early. Devils score 5 minutes and 43 seconds in. But that doesn't stop Sean Couturier, who ties the game up at the end of the first period. Tied 1-1. Early second on the power play. Devils score 2-1 lead. Wayne Simmons responds halfway through the second with a power play goal, assisted by Claude Giroux and Voracek. 2 minutes left in the third period. Sean Couturier scores another one, his 25th of the year power play goal, assisted by Claude Giroux and Provorov to take the lead 3-2. Connecting in the third period, scores a goal, assisted by Provorov and Couturier, who has himself a 3-point night. Couturier, 4-2 lead. Then again in the third, Raffl, assisted by Voracek, makes it 5-2, and then with 45 seconds left on the power play, the Devils score a goal that is too late. And the final, like I said, 5-3, and this hockey team is showing me something that I did not expect to see right now. They're hot. It's great looking. Tuesday night, they play the Rangers at home on NBC Sports, hoping to hear Doc on the call. But you have other good games that night. The Predators play the Las Vegas Knights. The Maple Leafs host the Blues. And right now, the Flyers are 1 point out. 1 point out of the last wild card spot, which is the New York Rangers. We have 48 points. They have 49 points. Pittsburgh hanging on as well with 51 points. A team that is struggling, but as of late, they are on a 3-game win streak. I'm sure they'll find their way. I'm sure Sidney Crosby will find their way. If you can't tell with my voice, I am feeling a little bit sick during this week. I actually don't believe in sickness. I've never gotten to the point in like 6 years where I couldn't get out of bed. To the point where like my body hurts me, hates me, and I can't get out of my bed. That has not happened. And it did happen this past week. I couldn't go to practice. I couldn't go to lifts. I just couldn't leave my bed. So I'm definitely getting better. I lost my voice a little bit here, but it's not going to stop me from making episodes. Absolutely not. It's not going to stop me from watching these amazing sporting events that occur every single night. No chance. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this episode here. It's been a great week. The Birds advance. The Birds advance the NFC Championship game. And if they win this football game, we are talking about the Super Bowl. And it just comes down to one game. It just comes down to one game. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at sportsandbrodes. I'm also on YouTube. You can search Sports Talk with Brodes in the search engine and I will come up. Make sure you subscribe to me. Also, you can call into the show using your voice recording app and sending it to sportsandbrodes@gmail.com. It is like leaving a voicemail for me and I can put your call into the show. So make sure you do that. Go Birds, go Fly Guys, and we need a big return for the Sixers here. Thank you guys for listening, and have a great day.